Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we explore entertaining and enlightening discussions of the adventure of life and all things good, from science and technology to history and philosophy to leadership and success. We hope to give you a better understanding of the world and skills for everyone to pursue their own adventure.
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back to Bufnagle, the podcast, where we talk about all things good in the pursuit of the adventure of life. I am Rafe, and it is a great Tuesday to be doing a podcast with you, for you, by you, near you. Insert your favorite preposition here. It's a great day to be doing a podcast, and one of the reasons for that is we have the world's greatest listeners. You guys out there have made us a top 10% podcast globally. As usual, feel free to reach out and contact us at buffnagle@buffnagle.com. Remember to share the love, share the buff, give us a 5-star review, make our world great by hitting subscribe, like, smiley star, whatever you got out there would be great for us. Tell a friend to listen, and you and he or she will get a free episode. And somewhere in the middle of the show notes for this episode, if you look carefully, you'll find a place to buy me a coffee. Hey, last week we talked about the first couple days of our recent France trip, and our visit to the city of Avignon, and our first couple days at the convent where these sisters there live in a monastery. 35 of them doing monastery work at the abbey. It's a monastery or an abbey or a cloistered nunnery. There's a lot of words you can use, but I guess if you ask nicely and you're nearby, someone will show you where it is. Like I said, it's a beautiful place to be. We met Sister Magdalena. I said last time we had met her twice, actually, and our visits with her were fantastic. Like I said before, they are living a world and a life that a lot of us aspire to. But remember, you have to give up a lot to get a lot, and they have done that. The nuns there live in a cloister behind it's not a screen, like I said before. It's more, it's just a partition. So I'm tempted to call it a cage. Somebody asked me about that. What's it like? Well, it's not really a cage, but when you're in the little room talking to them, you could, if it keeps you out. Okay, let's just say that there are vertical bars. It looks almost like a cage, but it's certainly not. It is they are there by their own choice, and they choose to stay separate from the world, which is an interesting thing. And for them, it has turned out to be a wonderful thing. Like I said, we met with Sister Magdalena and talked with her about all sorts of things, the work that she does there, and the work that all the nuns do there. We talked with her about the geology of France and the history of France, and how she is learning now French. She grew up here in Indiana, so she's learning a lot more French history now, and learning all about France, because that's where she lives, and that's the people she generally meets. So it's good to know that the sisters there are they're bubbling over with joy. As I mentioned before, they have a wonderful lifestyle, and they are forever grateful for anybody who wants to visit them. If you go visit and ask for an audience with Sister Magdalena and tell her that you heard about it on the Buff, I'm sure she would be overwhelmed with joy to meet you. So it was sad when we had to leave, because it was so filled with joy when we were there. I told her we don't have to leave, and she said, "You don't. You just can't." I do, but you can stay as long as you want. It was a good time, and like I said, we were deeply inspired by these women doing God's work here on earth, and hopefully you are doing God's work on earth in your little way there. Like I said, I went to Compline both the nights and saw the nuns do their ceremonious things that they do every day, whether we are there or not. And it's good to know that they are there doing their things. When the world gets kind of heavy on this end, it's nice to know that they are on our side over there and whispering things into God's ears. We spent, like I said, we had gotten there on a Thursday, I think, and we left on on Saturday to drive up to, maybe we left Friday. I don't know. We left one day. And the next drive was to a little hamlet in France, not far from Grenoble, about an hour south of Grenoble, in the mountains. And the mountains there, I knew France had mountains because the Alps are right there on the eastern edge of France, and they go into Italy there. And you've seen when this podcast talked about Frankenstein, and we reposted or redropped that episode recently. Frankenstein takes place in Geneva, which is right near the border of France and Switzerland, just north of Italy there. And the Alps are there, and Mont Blanc is there, and it's very mountainous there. But even farther south there into France, where France meets Italy, it's very mountainous. But the mountains look different. They look different than the mountains I recognize. I recognize mountains in the Rocky Mountains I think of the Rocky Mountains in Colorado and Montana and out western United States, and then the older Appalachian Mountains, the Appalachians. They're Appalachians, I guess. Maybe they're Appalachian. Anyway, they're on the east, okay, and they were the the early boundary of the American colonies were these old, very old mountains on the eastern side of the North American continent, and they run from Georgia up through Maine and into Canada. And the Rockies actually run from, I don't know, New Mexico, Arizona area. Let's call it New Mexico, and they run all the way up into Canada, and they are very dramatic in Canada as well. And those are new mountains, as mountains go, as to measure birthdays in mountains. The Appalachians are very old. The Rockies are very young. But these mountains seemed kind of like a mix of the two. I don't know if they're in between in age, but they were very steep, just remarkably steep mountains from my perspective, driving a car in a place where I was not used to driving, with roads relatively narrow and very windy. And they don't have interstates that run the route that we were taking from Avignon to La Salette. So our 3.5 hour estimated travel took us close to 5, basically because I wanted to be cautious of speed limits. In France, apparently you can get dinged very easily. I didn't want to come home with a mess of tickets. And the other thing is, it was, like I said, it's very windy, it's very steep, and a lot of times no guardrails. You are on your own there, which I don't know, I found kind of invigorating, but also a little bit scary. Our 3.5 hour trip took about almost 5, like I said, and we'd stop now and then for gas and snacks and things. The traffic in Grenoble was less than I liked, but like the mountains, they were incredible. They were as steep as the Rockies, but they weren't as rocky as the Rockies. I assume underneath the soil that was there covering the mountains in France, there was a lot of rock. That's how you get mountains. But it was there was people herd sheep in these places. There are little hamlets in the valleys. There is some forest around. People have been living in these mountains for long periods of time, and there's little bits of civilization have popped up at strategic points along rivers and in particular valleys. But the mountains were incredible, and getting up to the place we were going was very mountainous. The place we were going was the Shrine of Our Lady of La Salette. La Salette is like I said, it's a little hamlet, about 800 people, just south of Grenoble, and somewhere up the hill from the town, the hamlet. I guess maybe the town, maybe a bunch of hamlets. There is a shrine, and it turns out, according to the University of La Salette website, on Saturday, September 19th, 1846, a beautiful lady appeared to 2 children in the French Alps, a boy, Maximum, who was 11 years old, and a girl, Melanie, almost 15, who were watching their herds of sheep on a slope of Mount Planeux, approximately 6,000 feet elevation, not far from the village of La Salette. In a little hollow, they suddenly noticed a globe of fire, as though the sun had fallen on that spot, and within the dazzling light, they gradually perceived a woman seated, her elbows resting on her knees and her face buried in her hands, the beautiful lady rose and said to the children in French, "Come closer, my children. Don't be afraid. I am here to tell you great news." And that begins the story of the apparition of Our Lady of La Salette, who, like I said, in late September 1846, appeared to these two children, and that there's now a shrine there at that location where the children were witness to this event. And the lady goes on to tell them all sorts of things that there are lots of apparitions, and some of them have been recognized by the church and some of them have not. Some of them are made up, I'm sure. Some of them are true. There's all sorts of things you can take from them. I'm not here to tell you that you should believe every one of them. That's necessary to do these things. But if they bring you closer to God, then that is a good thing. And the lady of La Salette spoke to the children and told them what typically Mary says when she apparitions to people. Don't be afraid. Get on the right path. Do the good thing, and things will work out. If you don't do the good things, bad things will happen. And that's generally the thing. She wants you to come to her son and to do the things that will get you there, so that you will have life in abundance. So she talked to the kids, and the kids go and they tell their parents, and they tell the other people that are working with them. And the bishops come and they go, and people argue, and some people say people are lying, other people accuse people of other things. And like it is in all stories where there's goodness, there will be badness to counter it. And that's you can go read more about what she says, but she basically says I need you to spread the good news, and I need you to encourage people to do good things, and turn your hearts to God, and things will be well. Otherwise, there will be bad things. So a shrine has been built there, the shrine of Our Lady of La Salette. It is a very large cathedral, and now I don't know what to call it. I guess I call it like a retreat center. It's almost like a very large hotel that's tucked on the backside of the cathedral, and it is a wonderful place to stay. We stayed there a night, and there were a number of small tour groups there at the same time. They have dinner for you if you agree to take it. I mean, so they'll have dinner every night. It's like a cafeteria kind of thing, and different groups will come in, people doing pilgrimages or people doing tours of the area. We ran into a tour group of about 60 people that were there, that were seeing all sorts of important things throughout Europe. They had been to Fatima, and they had been to Lourdes, and they were going from La Salette to somewhere else. I don't know. We knew of La Salette because in the child cemetery here in Indianapolis that the diocese runs, in the cemetery the diocese runs, there's a child area that is named in honor of Our Lady of La Salette, and I had never heard of her. So when I was there visiting some grave sites there, I noted that this area is called La Salette. So I came home and looked it up and found that it was not far from where we were planning to be at the Abbey of Our Lady of the Annunciation, that had been where Sister Magdalena is. And I said, well, we'll go there on our way to seeing other things in France. So that's the reason we went to the Shrine of Our Lady of La Salette. The cathedral is beautiful there. The accommodations are first rate. They were great. They were little, dorm rooms kind of things. We had a dorm with its own bathroom, and that was nice, and its own shower. And so that's a good thing. If you're a grown up, if you're kids working your way across Europe, you might want to, you can take the less expensive rooms. Either way, it's very inexpensive. They are not there to make a profit. They are there to save souls. And so that's a really good thing. There was a number of geocaches were nearby. So I saw some of those. That was kind of fun. It's always fun for me to do. That was a nice thing. And like you said, we saw the rock upon which Mary sat with her elbows resting on her knees and her face buried in her hands. We saw that there's little You can't go and sit on the rock and get your picture taken on the rock. Okay, there's a little gate around that, so you don't do that. And there's a spring there that has opened up since that apparition, and it always flows, and you can get that water if you would like. And people get healed by that water, or they get healed in conjunction with the water, or I don't know. People use the water, and sometimes some people get healed. So to take for that what you may. It's a very nice place. It reminded me a lot of Holy Hill in Wisconsin, the Basilica there. It up on a hill, a beautiful building, people doing good work, bringing souls closer to Christ seems to be a good thing. And that was our time in La Salette. It was difficult to get there, but worth the driving through the windy roads of France, through the mountains, up the steep hill. And we got out of there. We got out of there without needing snow tires. Apparently, if you go there in the winter, that road will require you to have chains in your car. And I don't know if we had them in our rental car, but I think if we had gone like in January, that's necessary. They're up at 6,000 feet, which will get snow. I know they're getting snow today, and here it is mid to late November, and I'm glad I don't have to drive those in the snow. I would not want to drive a tour bus up that hill. Some of the corners were very, very sharp, but people who have been doing it for hundreds of years, and it is they're still doing it today. 1846 was the apparition, and by 1850 things were in place to try to get a cathedral built there. And over the next some period of time, maybe within 20 years, they had the church there. And people have been going there ever since. So it is the second most visited Marian shrine in France, behind Lourdes. So if you are in France and you're looking for Marian shrines, there's one on the east side over there, not far from Grenoble. It's worth the drive, certainly with the seeing this. We got up early and watched the sun come up over the mountains. It was spectacular. And hey, it's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to do. After our drive to La Salette, we proceeded, like I said, north to Grenoble, and then up to Lyon, which is, well, I don't know what's in Lyon. It's on the train route, and our contemplation was we could take the car back all the way to Avignon and then take the train, or I could take the car and drop it off in Lyon. And it turns out that if I took a car from Avignon to Lyon, there was no one-way drop-off fee, which was fantastic for us. It was perfect. The timing worked out well. So we drove to the airport there in Lyon, dropped off the car, and then took a tram. For those of you out there who love trams, I was on a tram, and we took the tram to the center, the center part of Lyon. Lyon is apparently the third largest city in France, so it's a pretty big city. We took that to a center part of Lyon called Port Dieu, and there's a big train station there, and we got off there and then hiked about a mile to the area called Belcourt, which is a very nice it's an old looking area. I don't know how old it is, but it's very fancy. They had beautiful buildings. They had beautiful shops, a wonderful park there, and it's right near the river, and it's not far from the Basilica of Our Lady of Fourvière. It's Fourviere, and it had a reputation for being very beautiful, and it exceeded every description of beauty that I can imagine. It was absolutely stunning. We got there about 3:00, and got changed, and we decided to go up the hill. And it was up a pretty big hill. And in order to get there, you can walk up the hill, up the switchbacks back and forth, or you can take a funicular, which is one of those inclined railways like they have in Pittsburgh or other places. You can take the funicular up to the top. It costs a couple euros. And the station at the top of the hill of the funicular there exits you right out in front of the plaza of the Basilica up there. Mass was at 5:30. And we got there a little bit earlier so we could look around. And it was, I wrote down in my notes that it might have been the most beautiful and an incredible thing I have ever seen. I've seen beautiful things and I've seen incredible things, and this was beautiful and incredible at the same time. The dominant style of art in that basilica is mosaic. And there were massive mosaics on each side of the church on the inside. They were just absolutely giant. Joan of Arc, I think the Battle of Lepanto was there, some other, and they were just, it was just, and they were huge, like, I don't know, like 30 feet high and 75 feet long. And I could convert that to meters, but you can do that too. All right. So it was gigantic, and the artwork was beautiful. And then you get close and you realize it's all mosaic, and it's just, it was breathtaking and spellbinding. It was a wonderful thing. It was massively beautiful, and the detail was out of this world. We could have spent hours you could spend hours in front of each one trying to pull out the details, but we didn't have hours. We had a little less than an hour, and then mass started at 5:30. And while we were in there, a man approached us and asked us if he started talking to us in French, and because my French is so bad, I didn't really understand what he was saying. And then finally he said, "Do you speak French?" He got that out in English, and I said, "No, not sufficiently." And I think we were being asked to hand out communion there at the Basilica, and I didn't realize that at the time. Otherwise, I would have faked enough French to be able to be one of the auxiliary communion ministers. That would have been a wonderful thing to have been able to do. But we went to mass in French there at the Basilica, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful, and a beautiful place and a beautiful thing to do on a Saturday evening there in Lyon. And then after that, we figured, well, we better get some dinner. So we went to there are a number of streets in that area of Belcourt and up on the hill where we went to get some dinner. And it seemed like half of the European continent was there trying to get dinner that night. It was, I guess I should have. Here's a lesson: if you're going to be somewhere at one of these touristy but just beautiful places, you need to make sure you get reservations, because we had none, and they were all full. They were all full. And we finally found a place that was not full. Was a creamery. So our dinner there was for me, it was a wonderful thing. It was ice cream and waffles, which is one of my all-time favorites, but we had no real dinner. And so that was our evening there in Lyon, was a little dinner at the creamery. I'd been eating too much anyway as it was, so it was good to have not too much. The next morning, Sunday morning, we were planning to get a train to the next location, and had so we found a little breakfast place not far from our hotel. It turned out to be I'll call it a fairly modernist. Just a modern coffee shop, and it could have been a coffee shop in Nashville or Raleigh or Indianapolis or Muncie. It was your standard, typical coffee shop. It was not necessarily a French, what do you call it? A boulangerie or a patisserie is one of those words. It was not a pastry shop or a bread shop necessarily. It was a little coffee shop. They had music blaring, and it was too loud. And they had cinnamon rolls, which were good. There were no croissants and no pain au chocolat. So I was a little disappointed, because those are my favorite things when I am there. It was a modern take on coffee and donuts, but it's a place I can't go to here. So it counts as a place that it's worthwhile going to there. We did see later on at some places we saw, I think there in Lyon we saw a Popeye's fried chicken. So I'm not going to go there because I can go there here. And we saw some other things that have franchised and encroached on the style that is a different place. I'm a big fan of trying to make sure that if you're going to travel a quarter of the way around the world, you ought not go to a place that you can go to when you're at home. So that was, we didn't go to Chick-fil-A while we were there. We didn't go to McDonald's. We didn't go to any other franchises that were that we could reach easily here from our end of the planet. So we did a little Sunday morning thing there, and then we walked back to we were going to walk back to the train station there. We got a little late, So we took an Uber to the Pont-Dieu train station, left about noon. So that was our trip there to La Salette and to the Belcourt area of Lyon. That area is fantastic. I don't know where other people go in Lyon. They look to me like the place to go because I looked at our map and tried to find areas that looked older and more that looked like they had some style and some life to them. This Belcourt area was fantastic in its charm and its beauty, and but other parts of Lyon are typical modern dystopia, I guess. Buildings with, what do they call that now? When you take off the ornamentation and you make things deliberately ugly, they tout it as clean lines. Oh, the building has clean lines, or that the table has clean lines. And I the only thing I keep thinking is that death is a clean line. Okay, when that machine goes and flat lines, there's your clean line. And it seems to me like life is not full of clean lines. Life has ornamentation. Life has decoration. Life is interesting. It is not straight line. So the people, again, the people were nice everywhere we went. At La Salette, they were nice. A lot of them were nuns, but a lot of them weren't. Everybody we ran into was they were just hospitable. I found a lot of hospitality there. So that's never been an issue. But in a place, that when you go visit a place, the sun shines brighter and the birds sing sweeter and the food tastes better when you are surrounded by beautiful things. So, I've had really great meals from street vendors in Boston. The food has been excellent and the vendor has been hospitable. But it's even betterer. It's betterer if you are surrounded by beautiful things. So we should, if you get a chance to go there, I strongly suggest spending a night somewhere in Belcourt, in Lyon, and seeing the Basilica of Our Lady of Fourvière. It was a wonderful thing. We are at we're at time here for this thing. What we're going to do next time is we're going to get on a train at the train station there at Pont-Dieu in Lyon, and we're going to go up to Orléans, which was under siege when one Joan of Arc arrived there a long, long time ago, and within 10 days she had dispatched with the nasty English and saved the world for France, or something like that. The story goes. So we're going to talk about spending some time in Orléans and what we learned about Joan of Arc and what we learned about other cities in France. And it continued, at least for us, it will continue to be a great time. And for you out there, we will encourage you to continue to have a great time and seek the good, live virtuously and flourish, and enjoy the adventure of life.
It's going to be a great day.